Hey guys.
Hey again, it's us again. We're trying to do intros now to tell you who's the guest.
Yeah, we think you guys would enjoy it and like it. And today we sat down with Bridey Elliott, who's a really great actress, comedian, very funny writer. She just had a film director. She had a film premiere at Sundance.
She's had a new movie premiere. She's got another one coming out soon. Shorts. She's doing shorts.
Mm-hmm.
Very talented. Very cool. Had a really fun conversation. Talked about a lot. Talked about friendships, DMT again.
Ayahuasca.
The ayahuasca frog prince that everyone sees. It was cool. And a bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah, we talk about a lot of stuff. I think you guys will enjoy this episode.
All right, we're doing intros.
Launching.
We're getting better at them as we go, but we're doing intros now.
I think that anybody that sends a voicemail that's longer than 1 minute needs to be committed to an insane asylum.
I agree with that.
I haven't gotten a voicemail from someone in so long. I would actually welcome any voicemail whatsoever.
Any contact at all.
It feels so old school. It feels like a family member.
Well, the only people that leave them are your family members.
Yeah.
That are like, my mom will like leave me a 2.5 minute message of like, in the message, I'm like, you got to tighten this up. You got to like, we have to fix this in post. Like, she'll be like, and I was wondering what. Oh, I just saw a butterfly. So anyway, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then I don't listen and she gets offended. But I'm like, why don't you punch up the talking?
Because she'll ask you like, but I said that in my message?
Yes. She'll quiz me on the thing she said in her shitty message. And then I gotta remember, I gotta listen, I gotta do my homework so that she could then, moms, say the same thing to you in the message. So I'm like, I'm not gonna listen to the message, you're just gonna fucking say it to me when I talk to you on the phone. And then if I do listen to the message, we should start an episode like this. I'm on like my third caffeinated beverage of the day, so I'm zinging, dude.
You got on nice boots though.
Oh, thank you.
What are those? Louis Vuitton?
Yeah.
Damn, I love that heel.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Anyway, what are your shoes? People make fun of them? That's sad.
These are my little balls. Check them out.
Bridey, you're thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Bridey is amazing. You just had a movie that premiered at Sundance and it did really well.
It did.
Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's called Mirror Party. It's me and my friend Angela Trimber, who y'all are friends with, I'm sure.
She's fantastic.
She's the best. And it's two friends who are like hanging out and they decide to practice a breakup conversation that one of the friends is about to have. And it becomes this sort of surreal fever dream, I'd say, where you're not quite sure where the practice starts and ends and if they're being real or what's happening.
Is it a feature?
You don't know what's happening.
Yeah. It's like really unclear about its message and its motive, like as a piece. But
you're confused for 90 minutes.
Is it a feature? Or is
no,
it
it's a short.
film?
Yeah, it's a short that we're turning into a feature.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and it was a fun time. It was fun to be at a film festival after like the pandemic because all of them have been over the internet and haven't been in person for a long time. So it was chill. It was just like a party.
Yeah. What did you do at Sundance? Tell us. We don't.
I gave a lot of speeches about, film and art. No,
women in cinema.
We're here to stay. We will not be put behind the camera. I just kind of partied and saw people that I hadn't seen in a long time. It was honestly kind of like a crazy Sundance year because so many movies were kind of congested in the pipeline of the past couple years that there's big movies that were waiting to come out. So they're kind of at the festival front and center. And then I think I had the smallest, cheapest movie at the festival. I'm pretty sure.
That's a testament to your writing then.
Thank you. Well, I don't know. But
well, for the piece itself, a testament to that. That's really
good. I was happy that we made a really cheap thing that got a good crowd.
That's the goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
People get fucked up at Sundance?
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, also you also get bronchitis and like because you're like in Park City and the altitude is insane.
I thought you were gonna like mention a gift bag. You're like, well, you get swag. And you're like, you get bronchitis.
You do get swag. Though this year the swag was crazy. I won a blanket, and on the blanket it said Sundance 2022, and I was like, what the?
It's like revisionist history.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
And I was like, hey, what is going on? And they were like laughing. They're like, sorry, I took it out of the storage room. It's like, damn.
That's what you won at a raffle? What else was on the docket?
I know. I think they just had blankets this year for that raffle.
Fuckers.
Who's the coolest person you saw there?
Coolest person that I saw there. You know, I really liked Sebastian Silva's movie that Jordan Firstman stars in. And I haven't seen Jordan. He was like an old buddy in LA. And he's still in LA, but I haven't seen him in so long, and he did such a good job. And that movie was like really cool because it's all like meta. Sebastian Silva's playing himself and Jordan's playing himself, and there's a lot of dicks in it. There's like a lot of blowjobs and like just like rapid fire, funny, like I don't know, gay sex that you just like haven't seen before at that level. So it's just I don't know, it was great.
Like Olympic gay sex?
Just like a lot of like nude like beaches. It just I don't know, like I feel like he's doing something very different in it where it's very much in your face in like such a fun way that I feel like there were women in the audience, like older women that were like gasping, and it was just like, oh, this is cool. This is like stirring something that like certain people have like little like
I love a pearl clutcher. I love like a my heavens. If you can elicit a my heavens from somebody, you are making good art.
Completely.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, completely. I remember when Brokeback Mountain came out, I saw it in Connecticut when I was how old I was. Like, I don't remember. I don't know if I was a teen or what. I don't fucking remember my childhood.
It's a wash. She was just programmed in you.
Exactly.
Your AI. Let's face it. We all have had similar childhoods that have been programmed into our brains by microchips from the government.
Yep. And then we're just waiting for that microchip to go away so we can finally figure out what happened on 9/11.
Thank you for saying it. This podcast is doing a hard pivot. It is turning fully into conspiracy, which is what it was destined to be. Got your guys' asses. Thanks for listening about the sex and dating. We're 9/11 truthers now. So
yes.
Yeah, and that's why we actually had Bridey on. So
exactly. I'm going to give you guys the lowdown on what happened in 2001.
Well, that's sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were talking about Connecticut.
I was talking about Brokeback Mountain, Connecticut. This man stood up during the movie and was like, well, that's about as much as I can handle, and walked out. And it was just like, what the fuck? Like, it's crazy what people are willing to announce to a crowd.
You know what that guy was announcing? I am gay. Yeah. I have to leave.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that was just he was a homophobic gentleman.
I think homophobia almost always is a tell that person has gay thoughts and they're very ashamed of them. I don't think that there's a single person who is threatened by a gay person who isn't, it's not a reflection of themselves. Like the fear is within. Because think about it, you just, like the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference, because you just wouldn't give a shit. Like if you didn't like gay people, you'd just be like, I just don't care.
I don't want to look at penis. You know what I mean?
That's fine, but you would not be like, all right. And here's the thing, Brokeback Mountain definitely wasn't like a gotcha, it's a gay cowboy movie. Yeah. It's like, you kind of knew what you were getting into. I think he just was like, I have a boner. Like, really, if you could just he's like, I have a boner. I have to leave and take care of this. Physically and emotionally, I am I'm having a really difficult time right now.
I saw this tweet the other day. Someone was on the subway in New York City, and two lesbian women were kissing. And some guy was like, can you just wait till you get home? And everyone's like, boo. He's like, I'm not homophobic. I'm just a hater. I just don't want to see people happy.
That's Larry David. That was Larry David? That sounds like that.
That's really funny.
Yeah, that's like, because your biggest pet peeve with couples is PDA, right?
I can't stand PDA on any level. And
I got kind of paranoid because when we were all hanging out and I was with my boyfriend, with you, I think him and I sat on his lap and I was like, is this going to trigger Liam?
That's no. Well, if I'm friends, it's like it's not going to bother me. Also, I was blacked out, so I wouldn't have noticed.
He was treating my body like a bowling ball. You don't even notice. Sorry.
No, it's that stuff is like fine. It's just like, when it's really aggressive,
Like gratuitous tongue kissing.
or like when they're just like talking like this, and you're in the same booth, and you're like,
Do you yell at women when they breastfeed?
I scream, and I point, and I whatever is in my vicinity.
You say milky.
Yeah.
Mommy, mommy. And he does like the grabbing for the air.
Yeah, I say I want to see it move the kid. For a second, move that baby. All right, put him back.
I hate those, like, I think those weird, like, breastfeeding huts that are in airports, which is basically like our 21st century version of like a menstrual hut where they're like, you got to go away and do this thing. Because
What the hell is a menstrual hut?
like back in the day, they used to think that women, when they would menstruate, they would have like this really intense power because they literally would say something like she bleeds, but she is not cut. Like, how does she bleed? You know, and it's like, it's really intense. And so they would make women go to menstrual huts. I don't know what culture this is in, but I know it's been utilized in a lot of them all over the world. But they would just like make women go to like, they're like, you got to go somewhere else while you're bleeding out. It was really bizarre.
Yeah.
You're like, that sounds like a good idea. But the weird, I don't know, I just like the breastfeeding like hut thing. It's like you're just making somebody go into a different area because you're getting turned on.
Right.
And
because
you just
you're
are like,
nasty.
you gotta hide it.
Yeah, totally. I would say airports, this is not about breastfeeding, this is about PDA. That's my like least favorite place to watch people make out for sure, because you're already like waiting and they're doing it out of boredom, not because they love each other, just like gnawing on each other's faces when it's like, all right, you have a 2-hour delay, and then it's just like those people can make out. I get really frustrated when that.
I don't even care if it's a troop coming home and he's seeing his wife. Get it out of my eyes.
We see like cut to that famous picture of World War II when a soldier comes back and like grabs the girl. Liam's like, come on.
Stop.
My great grandfather's in the background just being like, this is horrible.
Yeah, he's like, can you guys cut it out? Oh, you're gonna take a photo of this?
This is something I brought up before though. The photo, people posting like full naked torso breastfeeding pics on Instagram, where it's like a lady breastfeeding her baby, like covering the one nipple. I'm like, okay, that kid's gonna grow up and be pretty upset that you posted that.
Oh my God, Liam, you think the world's gonna exist? How long? It's so cute.
Yeah,
You
like,
do have a light in your eyes.
Yeah.
Why
I
do
hate
you-
to break your spirit, but
Yeah. Why do you think, what anger, where would that anger be coming from?
I'd be like, Mom, why'd you post
Why'd you
post a naked picture of us? And I'm a baby, but it's still, this is a weird thing to have on the internet for everyone.
Right. But is the baby like full frontal naked, like at camera?
No, but it's just like you gotta, that's just, I wouldn't want to see that personally.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it's like, okay, well, think about it like this. Did you ever get like photos taken of you of like, you know, butt ass naked on a bearskin rug or something when you were a baby, or like in the tub?
Yeah.
Okay, so like
Those aren't on the internet.
they're private.
Yeah.
So that's you're like, okay, so somebody could take a breastfeeding photo, but if it's for their like private collection, which just sounds like
It's just
child
like,
pornography, let's be honest.
I just like, why? What is it? What are you doing that for?
I
Right.
think like I can understand the idea. Look, I don't understand why people do a lot of things on the internet. I don't understand why somebody could literally go on their phone and be like, hey guys, what's up? I just want to check in. Like, that is truly insane behavior, in my opinion. I know that sounds very judgmental,
No,
but
it's okay. It's all we do.
I know I actually really do realize, listening to hours of myself talk on this podcast, I'm like, man, I am a hater, but I don't want to be.
I am, and I'm okay with it. It's fine. In this day and age, you gotta.
People do hateful things. I mean, people behave in a way that I'm like, I'm sorry, but like, we got to bring shame back into society,
a
because
little bit.
it's just like, I don't know. There's a oversharing, and I think it's because people want to feel permanent. You know, I think it's like that stems from a fear of death. I know that sounds like hyper psychological, but I think when you really want people to see you and hear you, and you want some sort of permanence of yourself that like is on the internet, whether it be like, look at this salacious photo of me breastfeeding my son, but then I'm going to use it as like the worst is, I've seen this, thirst trapping with your children is really psychotic, and I have seen it, and it's like you can't even call it out because they're like, womanhood is beautiful and motherhood is wonderful, and then you're like, okay, why are you wearing like a thong bikini? And it's like, I already sound like a fucking asshole.
No, but you're right.
Yeah. Like even just like objectifying your child, there's a lot of that. And it's very subtle, but also overt at the same time because it's like something that no one wants to call out. Like no one wants to be like, that child is looking like they're making a hot face with you. Like it's just like this weird, like subliminal feeling that like certain accounts have.
Yes.
Certain like celeb moms just like posing with. And like
it's like a branding
and
thing.
then the comments are just like, oh, this only confirms like what you wanted. This like, she looks exactly like you. You guys do everything together. Like, she's your twin. Oh my God. Like, wow, I'm staring at this all day. Like, whatever it is.
It's
like,
so gross when it's also like it's just an infant. Like literally like a 6-month-old. And they're like, she is beautiful. What a stunner. She's mommy's girl. And I'm like, bro, your face like says it all.
Yeah.
It's so, it just feels like it's very gratuitous. And I think that like, I actually really respect people. Look, I understand I'm not a mother, so I don't understand what it's like to have a child. And like, I'm sure you're just like fascinated by it all the time and you want to stare at it and it changes day to day because it grows so fast. You're probably like, it's a magical, wonderful thing. And I know like parents that do take photos of their kids and they put them on the internet and it's really just to share with their close friends and family. And I totally respect that because you're just trying to keep people abreast to like, you know, your life and what you're doing and all of that. I think that we can really tell a hard difference when it feels like they're bragging. Like I literally just saw it today. There was a girl that I followed. She had her son. She's literally like, she's gorgeous. And she's in a bikini, like kind of laying out. And then she's like, my hero. And it's like her like 4-year-old son. And I'm just like, if the kid wasn't in the photo, you would be like, this is like a guy could jerk off to this. Like it's very sexy. Like she's very sexy. And like, she's like doing a sexy pose. But yeah, sometimes the babies, when they're like, they all look all pouty. And I'm like, do you think, okay, question. Do you think the Kardashians and like, do you think that they edit their children, like photos of their children before they put them on the internet?
No idea.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure it's like there's like a little bit slimming, like get those baby cheeks.
We gotta get those baby. We gotta get cheekbones on that baby. That baby looks fat as fuck. It's disgusting. Okay.
Do you guys think that who's the one that might be OJ's daughter?
I don't know. Courtney?
Chloe. Or yeah, Chloe.
Okay.
Yeah. She's got to be OJ's daughter, right? Have you ever seen a picture of her?
Is this okay? Now we're back to conspiracy theory podcast.
Wait, have you not heard this?
No.
Khloe Kardashian looks like she could be OJ Simpson's daughter for real.
I actually, now that you're saying it, because she does look a lot different than her sisters, but I feel like that is kind of how genetics works sometimes. Like it's just kind of like you just will acquire traits from past ancestors. So I don't fucking know, but maybe.
But if
what's the other evidence? What's like the?
She looks like a running back, and the rest of them don't. Like she's yoked. She is.
Okay, but no, I said what's the evidence? Like not just in the way she looks, but I mean, is there like Kris Jenner
they had an
at
affair.
this time? They had an affair.
Yeah,
I could see them having an affair.
Absolutely,
for sure.
And think that's confirmed. And so everyone, and then you look at all the people. I watched like a YouTube video about it, and they compared the baby pictures and shit. And just in every family photo, you're like, that makes sense. And then who the fuck is that? For like every timeline.
So that would mean Chloe is mixed, like she's half black. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, my favorite conspiracy theory of this is that Chet Hanks actually is Bruce Willis's child. Bruce Willis and Rita Wilson. Because they did a movie together in like the early 90s. And like, he looks a lot like Bruce Willis and Rita Wilson would make a Chet Hanks.
Wow, yeah.
And because I mean, fucking Colin Hanks, he looks like his dad.
Looks just like him.
I mean, Colin and Chet look nothing like
No.
each other.
They probably got confused with the Willis and Wilson so much that they were like, let's just call it off. Willis, Wilson.
Yeah, that doesn't work. Okay, that's not a power couple. Hanks, Wilson. There you go.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
pitchable. We got that. I don't know. I mean, it's funny because it's like I always like I'll have like really strong opinions about things that I'm like, It's really just look, guys, listeners out there. Sometimes I have strong opinions because it's more interesting to listen to. That's why not Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck. No, what's the other one that sucks ass that got sued because he was a Sandy Hook denier?
Oh, Alex Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Jones said that his character is like he said he shouldn't get sued because of he was playing a character. And I feel like a lot of times like I want to speak hyperbolically because I think it is more entertaining. It really is. But sometimes I'm like, you guys know I'm like joking, right? I mean, because so many people are dumb, let's be real.
Yeah.
So many people are like, I can't believe this. I'm outraged. I'm like, bro, I'm joking. They're like, it's crazy. Like, do you really think like it's I don't know. We gotta have more of a sense of humor about things. I think people take things so seriously, and I think people like they get on people's cases. It's like, look, we're haters, but guess what? People hate on us. It's all good. Keep the hate flowing, baby.
Yeah. There's also like hate out of love too. Like it's like it's not you don't hate because you like want the world to end and like burn and like, for the earth to die. It's like you hate because it's like, no, we want to live and like these elements are not working with the whole and we need to be healthier and like it's like hating with a purpose.
I think that's like why like a lot of dudes have like a gripe against like there's so many like, yappy broads like us that are like,
Yammering.
Men do better.
Clucking.
Clucking, cluck, cluck, cluck. Men do better. And it's like guys will be like, you do better, you sub 4 fucking bitch. Shut the fuck up.
Good comeback.
Dude.
It's pretty visceral comeback.
Dude, but it's horrible. And I think that it's like when somebody criticizes something, it's like, again, it's like that. It's the difference of love isn't hate. It's just like, it's indifference. So it's like, if you really are like complaining about something, it's because you give a shit about it. Like, it's like straight women, we like care about men. We want them to be good so we can like have a better relationship with them. And I think that gets like really muddled into like, fuck men, and then guys are like, well, fuck you guys. And it really feels like we're reverting to like, boys stink. And it's like, girls suck. It's like we're children again. And it's like, can't we all just get along? Is what I'm saying? Right? Do you think we could all just get along?
I wish, right? I mean, yeah, I think we could. We all like changed our personalities.
Yeah, if we just lied about who we are to our significant other.
Exactly. If we just like came off online as being like cool and hot and just, post a lot of good content.
Yeah.
Like I think that people would like us.
And then be like, I'm the most confident person. I've never doubted myself in my life. Well, that's awkward. Oh, you doubt yourself? Sometimes you're self-conscious? What's that like? Ew.
I had a question. What was the first thing movie, feature, or short that you made?
Whoa. Damn.
Trippy. That's a really trippy question, actually.
I don't know. Like, it kind of depends on, like, I guess I made a short when I first came to LA called Affections. That was like in 2015. And that was about a woman who like gets catcalled on the street and then she kind of turns around and starts stalking the catcaller who was just like kind of like just, meant to catcall and have it be done. But then she starts like picking him up and talking to him a bunch and he's just like over it immediately. But yeah, that was the first thing I did that was like sort of like I did stand up and more like performing in New York. And then when I moved to LA, I sort of got a little bit more like director hattie on because I felt a little bit lost in terms of just acting being like my primary focus. So I like was sort of trying to teach myself to direct with like shorts and shit. And that one was definitely a fun experience of like definitely pulling from like a real everything I do sort of there's like a kernel of like true not just like, oh, this is true, I'm going through this thing that this character is going through, like true in the like actual plot of it, like this happened and I was like, oh, what if I just turned around and just like showed this guy how unhinged I fucking am? Like why am I like pretending that I'm like gonna walk by and just be like, yeah, thank you, like, oh, you
was
too,
it like
sir.
A horror movie?
No, it wasn't. It was like it was a short. So it was like a mumblecore-y, like I just felt kind of like rambly meaning I didn't spend too much time on like, you know, sort of like rewriting into some sort of something that was like harder or something. It was just like a first run at, you know, trying to capture something. But even like the short with Angela, like that was completely, we hung out one night and like filmed ourselves practicing her breakup conversation with this guy who was like gaslighting her, and it was like a crazy dating experience for her. And then we filmed this thing and we were like, oh, this could be like funny, like this could be like a short or something. And so we just like expanded it. But it's interesting because like from her perspective and my perspective on what the thing is about is like completely different, because she's like talking about how it's sort of about how gaslighting, like you kind of like lose track of reality. And my sort of like stamp on what I thought it was or feel it is like about how like friendship, like you kind of like conjure different like relationship patterns in your friendship. Like you think like your dynamic with your friends is different than your romantic partner, but it actually is the same and it feeds into each other and they bleed together. Like there's actually no way to separate, you know, these like weird patterns that you find yourself in with people. Like it's always like there's something that you're always like.
Do you believe that like in your?
I think so.
Yourself?
I mean, I definitely see like I think like there's like relationships I've been in where I feel like oh, I'm fighting this monster again, you know, like, and it's not about the person, like the person's not a monster, but there's like a monster that like a little like trauma troll that like comes out and is like, hey, it's me. And it's like a like horny little leprechaun man who's just like, ha, are you gonna fall for it again? Like look over here, like get addicted to this or whatever it is, like. So yeah, I think like, and then sometimes it's like, okay, that trauma troll is like RIP, like I'm done following that little like leprechaun.
That nymph is gone.
Yeah. And then it's a new thing. But it's like, but they all are sort of related to each other, all these little leprechauns.
That makes so much sense.
It actually does.
I was like yeah, fuck, yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Because like there's things that it may be in like a past relationship where it's been gone for so long that I'm like, I'm good. I haven't
just
felt
dormant, my friend.
And then you're like, oh fuck, I'm still wildly insecure about that. Turns out I am.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why like patterns are supposed to happen and like cyclical things happen for you to then like it's gonna just keep happening until, I mean, this isn't new information. Like things will repeat itself, history will repeat itself unless we like quell it in some way or overcome it or understand it differently. And I think that like that's why relationships can be like some of the best teaching moments we can have. It's really like it's such emotional maturity. Like I'm very wary of like there's a lot of people that are relationship phobic, and I think that's just like intimacy phobia with themselves even, because you actually have to adjust quite a bit. But like I think everyone can relate to what you're talking about, Bridey, of just like, oh, like I have always have this tendency to have this issue occur. And a lot of times we're not even conscious of it until it becomes so fucking overwhelmingly loud that you're like, okay, like this is something I'm clearly avoiding, you know? But it's so tough though, because it's also we're attracted to who we're attracted to. And so like these patterns, they feel sometimes unavoidable. It's like, well, how do I avoid this thing when really like it's like being attracted to somebody and laughing or like connected in some way where it's like it can't be disingenuous. It really is like a visceral thing that comes over you and like you can't construct it. It's just a thing. And I wish sometimes, like, how many times have you gone on a date with a guy and you're like, oh my God, this guy's so sweet, he's so kind, he's such a good person, I wish I was like into him. That's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah,
it happens all the time.
Yeah, all
Really?
the time.
Oh my goodness. I'm sure that's even happened with you with like a lady. Like you're like, this girl's like really kind and a good person and we really get along, but there's maybe something's missing, like the sexual attraction or that like that feeling, you know?
Yeah.
But they're cool. You're like, oh, this chick's cool.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I could like, I don't know, it just isn't there. There's not that spark. And the spark is like, hey, it's a combustion engine, a relationship. You need the spark, baby. You gotta have the spark. I got a little walk in there. You gotta have the spark.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
Do you notice yourself like being in a relationship now that you're like, oh, there's things that I thought I like because you were in a relationship when you were really young that you're like, oh, that's just like I grew out of that. And then now you're like, oh shit, like that's just kind of a part of me that I thought it was just like part and parcel to being a teenager, but now I'm feeling this way now.
A little bit. Just in like I always like think that something horrible is going to happen to the person that I really like.
Oh my God, I have that. Wait.
And I'm like constantly like, oh, fuck.
Wait, like they're going to die?
Yeah.
Dude, me too. Okay, are we mentally ill?
Yeah, it might be. Because I'm like, oh man, she's going to get killed. I know it.
Whoa.
Like, I'm always like, don't.
Not by you, right?
No.
You're like, I know it. I have a feeling something really bad is going to happen to her. You're just taking a rope.
No, I just bought her mace the other day. I'm not kidding.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, she's very small. So I'm like, and she's always saying things like, I just went up to this homeless guy and gave him lunch. And I'm like, don't approach homeless men in LA ever. For sure, ever.
Yeah. I have that fear too, and I thought that I really have never even admitted that because I was like, this is really wild, but I'm like afraid that I'm going to be a widow. I'm not married.
Yeah.
I'm not married, but I'm like, I'm destined to be a widow. I really do feel like, I'm like, oh shit, like, what if something like terrible happens to the person I love? And I think it's like, I mean, really, Liam, I think we can chop it up to the fact that we probably both have like severe anxiety disorders. You don't go to therapy, but I do, so I can tell. Like, we could just like, you could cheat off my test.
Yeah.
Yeah,
please.
I'm like, hey, bro, I think we have anxiety because I have intrusive thoughts, and so I'm like,
He's probably just like, he loves Taco Bell. So he's probably going to find out that there is some sort of, horrendous thing in it. And he's going to fucking die of some really rare cancer and a class action lawsuit. And I'm going to have to like talk on TV about it.
Taco Bell, real cancer. Taco Bell, tacos. Man, I would die from that cancer. I have Taco Bell all the time.
oh, really?
Yeah.
I actually, you know what? I like that about you.
Thank you.
I
It's
think
close to
hot
my
girls,
house.
it's close back. I think hot girls, we need to like, there's a hot girl fallacy that like they don't eat fucking fast food or anything, and like they do. Hot girls, actually, I feel like the hottest girls are the ones that like eat the shittiest stuff
Late at night too.
Yeah,
Like never in the light of day.
They like drink Slurpees and like have Takis with like their acrylic nails. And I'm like, that's always the hottest girls that are eating like the most like fucked up like blue 45, whatever that dye is that like makes you infertile. Like, and that's the thing, we got to keep these girls fertile. They're our breeders. We got to keep them fertile.
Wait, did you?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna ask if the like crisis, like something terrible is gonna happen to this person. Is that it's not fear of abandonment, which is what I think I have, but it's fear of just fear of death, maybe.
I don't know. My girlfriend's just small and defenseless, so I'm always like, Jesus Christ, I hope nobody
Right.
like.
It's like a protective.
But my
Yeah,
boyfriend is like a regular human who's not small and defenseless. And I am I think it's a fear of abandonment. I have a very severe one that is like fear of abandonment. And it's like I'm in therapy, so everything's good. It's all copacetic. But I know the derivative of it, and I'm very happy that I'm very aware of that, because I notice myself having really strong reactions to things that make no sense. And like, we had a guest on a while ago, Christina Martinez, really great, and she said something that always stuck with me. She said, if it's hysterical, it's historical. And I think a lot of times we can get into like hysterics about like have a really like, I don't like get really angry about something or very upset about something or feel like a rug has been pulled out from under you. And it's like, oh, this isn't the situation that's happening right now. I'm actually playing something out that happened in my past or as a child.
Totally.
And I think that for you, maybe you're probably afraid of her dying because you actually really care about somebody like for the first time in a long time. And that's like scary to like, because you don't want to lose it. So you're just like, oh my God, is something going to happen? Because like, I think mine is like fear of abandonment. I think so. Of like this person, whatever exit route they're going to take, it could be. And with this one, I don't think my partner's going to leave me ever, because we live together. We're very in love. All the shit, blah, blah, blah. But I think that I'm like, well, the only way he would leave is by leaving this earth. And so then I fear that. It's like I have to take it to this kind of like
nth degree.
Right.
You know, I don't know.
That's
But
interesting.
are you in a relationship right now?
I am. Yeah. I'm in a nice, lovely, healthy, happy relationship.
Wow, look at us, guys.
Oh,
Nice.
so
How long
nice.
you been in it?
It's gonna be a year in 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How are you
Hey,
gonna
good for
celebrate?
you.
We're gonna go to a restaurant
Wow.
and eat food together.
That's amazing.
I mean, how how did you guys meet?
Instagram. I mean, it's like
That's hot.
I kind of feel like I'm like, we must have met, right? It's LA. But really it was just Instagram, and we went on one very like somber platonic date together where like
Ew.
nothing happened.
So I couldn't help that reaction. I was like, nasty, dude. Why'd you guys do that?
It was like a 4 p.m. tea in Montrose.
Wow, that
And
sounds like
It was very not sexy.
so unsexy.
But it was good because at the time I was really frightened by the idea of meeting a man from my DMs. And but I'm a fan, he's a filmmaker and I love his work, and I like Steven Spielberg. No, he had like made this like indie movie that I was really into, and so I knew of him a little bit. There was like a slight buffer, but I actually honestly like I was so nervous to meet someone from Instagram. It felt like I was about to, die.
Yeah.
Like
That's a correct feeling.
yeah. And so we had a very I was very defensive in our probably interaction, but also like I liked him. And then 3 months later, 3 months went by and I accidentally texted him, literally an accident, thinking I was texting like a friend, like, let's FaceTime. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Didn't mean to send that. And then he took it as a way to be like, let's try again.
Wow.
So we did that, and yeah, it worked out. It's working out.
Do you feel like in your past dating history, and I ask because I have suffered from this, but have you kissed a lot of toads?
Yeah. I've had a lot of escapades, I'd say, in terms of kind of exploring different sides of myself with people, and then I'm looking back, I'm like, who was that person, outside of Dupar's? Who was that lady in the shadows there? Not in a completely gritty creep way, but I definitely felt like dating in LA, especially in my 20s, which now in my early 30s, I feel like definitely I know myself a lot more, but relationships were a way to kind of find out
Who you were
about you. Yeah. Partially.
I think that's what I even brought up kind of before. It's having a relationship or even just dating is a way to kind of be like, oh, I like this. Oh, I don't like this. Or this person was a catalyst for me understanding this part of myself, or this fear that I actually was didn't even know that I had. I mean, that's why the best learning is done. It's done with human beings, whether that be platonic or romantic. But I think that's so important. That's why I kind of fear this move toward isolationism that we're I think that's overall is happening. And I think we have an illusion of closeness with social media, but I fear that we're really losing these these connections that are so important to actually of human discovery, self-discovery, and growth. I don't know. I get so sorry, zoomed out. So I went really macro with that. It was so we live in a society.
I think it's true though. I think there's way less hangs where a friend will come over in sweatpants and sit on the ground with me. It's just
yeah, and paint your toenails.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Do you hang? But you hang out with your boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's because you're young. I think that my friend is a sociologist, and he did his thesis on the decline of male friendships in Western civilization.
Wow.
And he says that back in the day, there was canasta leagues, bowling leagues, men would do a lot of things together. And since we don't really have a lot of these parlor games anymore, a lot of men in their 30s, they don't have friends, truly. It's rare.
Really?
It's so bizarre. My own boyfriend barely has friends. And it's because you lose them. All of his friends are married and now they're having babies.
And so then you just kind of lose that. You're not also like a lot of guys, they are friends because they're like, we're going to go out and like get some pussy tonight. And so when that stops happening, then it's like, wait, like, why don't we even hang out with this guy? Wait, I don't know. Michael's a little racist. Do you ever notice that? Yeah, I used to get pussy with him, but, you know, sometimes he says a lot of weird things. You know, I don't know. So
that wouldn't end a friendship.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're from Boston.
I know terrible people that are my best friends.
I wish I could separate that. I think that, like, you know what it is? I think men can do that because it doesn't like threaten their way of life.
No.
Like nothing that your friends believe in way that they vote would never affect you because you're just a straight white dude. And so like the way I can't be friends with somebody like that because I'm like, well, like you believe in something that I'm so diametrically opposed to, and it actually would literally directly affect my personal life or like my family's life.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm a better person than you is what I'm saying.
But I've had the same. I'm in a group chat with 8 dudes that I've been friends with since second grade.
Too many guys.
Or
That's
8,
way too many guys.
7. Yeah.
That's a scary number of men.
We're a good crew.
Is it every day active or?
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
do you only talk about second grade?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, every day. It's the same. Remember Mrs. Brown? We're like, we all remember Mrs. Brown. We talk about her a lot. But no, they're all like, everyone's in relationships and doing different shit, but we all are still really close. I feel like guy friendships, this is just from personal experience, like watching my sister grow up. I have an older sister. She would have like a best friend group that was like tight knit as fuck. 3 years later, they're gone. It's completely dissolved. Where it's like I've had
Jennifer, I wish she dies in her sleep.
That's what would happen. I'd be like, why doesn't that girl come over anymore? She was great. My sister would be like, fuck her, I hate her. And I'd be like, what the fuck happened? And I feel like dudes are just like, I'm friends with people I don't like. But I'm just
guys
like,
are friends with a lot of people they don't like. I don't think women do that as much as men do.
It's just inertia. I'm like, well, this guy's we're boys for life because at this point, what am I going to do?
Right.
You know?
That's why men, like, a lot of times, have you ever had to hang out with like a significant other's like shit friend? And you're just like, you can't even say anything because you don't want to sound like a cult leader. You don't want to like distance them away from their friends to like, you don't want to be manipulative, but you're just kind of like, I will just find myself saying things like, God, they drink so much. It's kind of crazy, huh? I can't drink that much. That's scary. Isn't it scary? Is anything I'm saying affecting you in any way?
Yeah. I feel like in those like situations where you have to get a beer with someone, or like I'm thinking about like, well, just a shitty man drink beer or whatever it is, like whiskey, like just something that both of which I like. But those like moments where I turn into like a representative of like, these are my values and this is what I think about that, like, and just like try to like assume this like character of like impenetrable, like, nope, that's not what I believe or whatever it is. Like I feel like it just like comes out. It's not like I can't like not help myself.
Yeah, I always think about this when I meet someone's friend. I am never like, oh, that person's behavior is a reflection on this guy. But then when I'm introducing my friends to people, I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to explain this guy before he meets anyone else.
I think it is a reflection. I definitely, like, if somebody has a friend that I'm like, that person is like a fucking mess, I try to give benefit of the doubt. I'm like, they've probably been friends for a long time. That's usually, especially if it's a dude, or if it's somebody like, because here's the thing, like, I don't think it's gendered, because I definitely have girlfriends that I'm like, I do feel like I put up with, like, I can understand why people wouldn't like her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, I get, like, she is XYZ, but I have a special connection with that person. It's like how there's friends that you have that you would never set up on a date with somebody.
Fuck no.
You know? Or like, there's friends that I have that I'm like, oh, if they're like, hey man, I'm looking for a roommate, I'm like, for sure, I'll keep my eyes peeled. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm not gonna unleash you on somebody. That'd be so mean to do. So it's like, there are people like that. They're varying degrees. It's really just this, like, you have like a tight knit circle, and then it kind of is just like rings out from there. You know, it's like all of these circles of then like acquaintances to like people you kind of know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my circles just keeps getting kind of smaller, even though like my boyfriend has introduced me to his friends that I'm into. Like, I'm not, and I'm open to new friendships, but I think it does, at a certain, I don't even know if it's an age thing. It's just more of like a time of life and also like the time of the world. It gets harder to be like, oh, this is an authentic friendship that I need to like harvest and nourish.
I think, yeah, the catalyst for that was definitely like the pandemic, which like made you have to decide, like, is this person worth dying for? And really, I decided that only like 6 people in my life were worth that. And then, if anything, it was a great, you know, clearing. It just really was a spring cleaning of human beings. It was great. But
Well,
what?
spring cleaning of humans.
Yeah, I sounded like I'm like, you know, like ethnic cleansing.
Yeah.
No, I really, wow, okay. Yeah, I realized, I really hope, I was like, William's going to say something about this. You're like, okay, Hitler Youth, okay? And I'm like, all right. Here's, okay, have you ever like broken up with a friend? And I have the same question for you, but like, or just like even
sat
soft,
someone down and
or no, even like a soft fade of like, because I say this, my boyfriend, he's like, oh, I got a beer with a guy in my hometown, and it was somebody I went to high school with, and we got a beer, and I was like, hey man, what's new, blah blah. And he's like, this is truly what he did. He goes, well, I'm getting married. And he's like, oh, that's great. That's great. Are you excited? He's like, no, I'm not excited. He's like, well, why are you getting married? He's like, this is just what people do.
Oh man.
And I'm like, that is the most, and that man was named Chris Watts. Like, I'm like, that is so, and then my boyfriend was like, yeah, I just decided, and then after we had that conversation, he was like, I just decided I was never gonna reach out to that guy again or hang out with him, because I'm like, wow, what a truly deeply unhappy person who's so disingenuous, who does things in their life that because they think they ought to, which is something you should, I hope you get over by the time you're 21, you know, that like your path is not necessarily needs to be a regimented one, you know, and like life doesn't end at like 30. It's kind of crazy.
You know what I found really interesting? Because right after college, I moved here. So across the country, all my friends are still back home. Just graduated college, and then I was here for a few months in the summer, came back for Thanksgiving. So I'd been gone 4 or 5 months, hadn't seen anyone, and then we're all together out at a bar Thanksgiving, and everyone else was being like, oh, good to see you, to everyone that we were just close friends with. I'm like, oh, you guys, nobody's seen each other in this entire time? And it was just kind of like, yeah, after school ended, people just kind of reverted back to the really small cliques of friends, and like the massive group type thing didn't occur as much, which I found interesting. Just seeing people be like, I was like, well, you guys live 2 miles away from each other. You haven't seen him? I haven't seen him. But it was just very weird to be all.
It make you feel better, like about
so
the
much
distance.
better. I was
yeah,
like,
I'm sure.
I was like, oh, nobody's chilling. Because the whole time I'm like, oh,
FOMO,
everyone's
like hardcore.
yeah. And that just made me feel better. But it was also kind of like, fuck. I thought it was just me not
It
doing
made
that.
you kind of like sad overall, because you're like, oh, are people like not connecting? Like, this is truly like a coming of age thing.
Yeah, but it's also like, guys, I have some of my best friends I'll see maybe once a year. And it's great. We talk a lot still, or occasionally I'll call them every couple of months. Best friend, but it's just like, yeah, you see, and that's probably just going to get weirder as it gets older, because my dad is 55.
Yeah, does he have friends?
Like, no.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You get
yeah.
it? That's like older men, it's like they barely have friends. They're lucky if they have some friends, and you like want them, like I feel like a fucking mother of a kindergartner. I'm like, go make friends. Go out there. Like, I want him to have fucking friends.
But they do. It's just, like, my dad has friends, but he's not hanging out with, he's not going to do shit. He's an old man. He's getting off work. He's like, I'm gardening and I'm going to bed. And my mom's still links up with her college roommates every couple months.
That's nice.
But my dad will show me a picture of some guy. I'm like, who's that? He's like, oh, this is my best friend for 25 years. I was like, what's his name? You've never brought him up?
What is his name?
Yeah.
Fuck.
I'm like, where is he? He's like, I don't know.
Bridey, have you had to like, I mean, we've all had to kind of like goodbye friends, but have you had like ones that were like hard and fast?
Yeah. I mean, I think Angela, the person that I did the short with, I mean, we knew each other for like over 10 years, and we're always like kind of just acquaintances and like liked each other from afar. And then it was like immediately very much like, okay, this friendship is in full gear. Like, and it was so great to have like a best friend while like shit was going down, you know, and like just like playing together and dancing and chilling and like doing like very much like elemental friendship shit that you like I hadn't experienced in so long, of just like, oh, we're like just like staying up and talking at night. Like that's just like
sleepover.
Sleepover, yeah. And it was like the pandemic did like really like help create that intimacy at the same time, like and with other people too, other friends, like the same like level of just like, okay, we're surviving this together and like making something magical out of it together. And there's also this feeling that a lot of my girlfriends who I adore all moved to New York, and everyone in LA has a baby. That's what I'm going through, where I'm just like, what?
So that's like lost because of proximity.
Yeah. And you know, and I go there and like we hang out. It's all totally fine. But there's some now association in my head with Los Angeles and like family building and that sort of like the thing you were talking about, like survivalist structure of just like, oh, we must protect each other, no one else. Like, it feels so real, like in terms of, you know, there's still people that are afraid to come out. No shame, like everyone has like different levels of like health and, you know, trust in the system or whatever, but there's still a lot of fear, like just like lingering around.
That really bums me out, obviously, for the obvious reasons it bums me out, but also like I think it's a false flag. I think some people, especially now, if you're like afraid of socializing because of like COVID, and I understand, look, I have one of my dear friends is immune suppressed, and so he has like diabetes, and so he like, I couldn't see him for a very long time. And, you know, but he's out there again, you know? And I think that some people, the reason why I say it's sad is because I think it's an excuse for them because they were already kind of antisocial, and they're like, oh, thank God this exists, and I can just point to this.
Yeah.
I can just say, hey, I just don't feel comfortable because of this. And that like saddens me. And look, like being alone, if you want to be alone, is wonderful. And like, I'm a very private, it's not private, I talk about my fucking, really private. No, I just, I really love being alone. I was an only child. And so I grew up alone, and it's just something, it's very comfortable for me to be by myself. I prefer the company of myself, truly, than to a lot of people. But there's something that makes me sad that I think people are negating the natural rhythm of being a human being, which is to integrate yourself with other people and to socialize and to like be around people that you don't even like, which is like, that's how you develop like fodder for things, you know? It's like you go out and you're like, look at this fucking idiot's fucking shoes, or like it's important.
Looked at me when you said that.
I actually didn't mean to. I just judge people on their shoes all the time. Actually, you should be stoked that I said cool shoes, because I usually look at a guy's shoes and I'm like, Jesus Christ, what is he, Sperry's? God damn it.
That's how I check if someone's homeless in LA or they're just really dressed cool.
Oh my God.
Sometimes you can't tell.
I have a really funny story that my uncle told me. My uncle's gay and lives in San Francisco, and he was at a coffee shop in the neighborhood in San Francisco. And he was making eyes with a guy, and the guy was looking at him, and he was looking back, and there was this unspoken like, oh, let's go hook up. So
God, being gay must be so fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
It's that easy.
You have like willing partners like all around you. It's like the world is your oyster. So he goes into not the bathroom. It was like, so they go outside into a. What's like a stairwell? They go outside into a stairwell. There you go. Goes outside into a stairwell with this guy, and this guy starts sucking his dick already, like rock star.
How do you know the story?
Amazing. Close family. I don't know. So he's getting a blowjob from this guy, and then as he's getting the blowjob, he's suddenly become more observant, and he's like looking at the guy, and he looks at his shoes, and he's like, oh, this person is severely homeless. This person is like advanced stage homelessness. And it's just like, oops. So he got his dick sucked by an unhoused person.
Wow.
And he told by the shoes. He's like, I get to tell by the shoes.
And
was there
the job was good?
I bet it was amazing.
I bet it was great, because even if a guy has like the most disgusting experience, regardless of the gender, he will come.
Yeah.
Literally, like, we had somebody on the podcast, Christine, who tells us a story about how she was really fucked up and she was drinking like vodka with like red Gatorade. She was like in college and she like barfed all over this guy's dick. And then I was like, did you guys fuck after? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, because a man would never stop. I told,
Oh yeah.
guys will literally see like there will be fecal matter around, and they're like, I can finish.
Not every guy.
Okay.
If there's poop
Queen of
involved,
England over here can't come if there's poop around. Whoa.
You can only come if there's poop.
yeah, and it's gotta be mine, and I'm gonna rub it everywhere. the day before, so it's like clay on my body. Anyways, sorry.
No, we're on track.
Yeah.
No, we're actually on track right now.
I was gonna say though, I do. Last thing about the pandemic friendship thing is, I was in college, so it was like, no, there wasn't like a general fear of it. It was just kind of a fuck. None of us are gonna die, but fuck, we can't do anything. And if I think about the kids, because I was a junior and a senior.
Wait, you didn't think you were gonna die?
No.
I like really, this is probably just my paranoia. I was like, I'm going to be the one that dies. I'm going to die from it. Never really had any health issues. I'm going to die. I really believed, I like convinced myself that I was going to die.
I also got it pretty quickly.
Okay.
And then was just like, that was not that bad.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get it. I just had a fear, and then I convinced myself that I was like, my throat, it's closing. Okay, it's happening.
I was worried about killing other people. I never thought I was going to die. But
anyway, so yeah, go ahead.
I had an established friend group at that point, and I just turned 21, so when the bars got shut down, it wasn't the end of the world, because I was just like, I'll just do the house party thing I did last year. But then I thought about me if I was a freshman and that happened, and I was already just really weird and having a little bit of a hard time finding like a solid group. It wasn't sad. It was just like I had groups, but I was like,
not you. I just am thinking of these theoretical freshmen. Yeah. Like, that's sad for them. That is.
I thought about how fucking tough that, if you didn't, because I wasn't friends with anyone in my freshman dorm first semester. I was like, fuck, if I got locked in there, I would have been, this sucks shit all day. I don't even know if I could have really developed those friendships, because I tried and I was like, nah, these people are not my people.
Right.
Yeah. That's all I could think about. Was just like, damn, that must be so brutal to be locked in a building.
I just thought about like people that like were just like in marriages or like relationships that they never really like looked at. They didn't have like that level of like, when you're forced to be around somebody for a long time, like shit comes up, you know?
Yeah.
And how that was just like the jumping off point for so many people to be like, I will murder suicide us if I don't leave this relationship. And I mean, I'm so I get bothered by so many things, and somebody like not friends. That's the funny thing. It's like my capacity for patience in a friendship is pretty high, you know? Like, I like most people. I get along with most people. I really do earnestly, like, I enjoy human beings. I love meeting new people. I like making new friends.
You're a big benefit of the doubt type person too. You'll always give
a little too much.
Yeah, you'll give people leeway off the bat. You're like, he's a nice guy. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah.
I get like, to the point where like I've let some creeps into my life, you know, like a lot of times. But I think sometimes I can't discern whether somebody is just like a little funky. And I also like to make everyone feel like wanted and like desired in some way, or like inclusive, because probably because I got made fun of a lot growing up, and also being an only child, I'm like, I really like, I want everyone to feel like they belong, you know? So it's like, I can be a fucking hater, but I do like genuinely, I mean, I'm like the least mean person. I'm very nice, but like, I like talking shit. It's fun. Okay. I'm also like I'm a roast comic. All right. It's actually me. I am the insult comic dog. It's been me the whole time.
Take off them?
Yeah. I'm a dog. I'm a dog puppet underneath this very realistic human lady body. I do give people the benefit of the doubt, but I think that's better. I'd rather be earnest and be proven like, oh, oops, got my hopes up, this person does suck, or they actually kind of, they're a little weird in a bad way, than be on guard all the time. But like, I am afraid of sometimes like getting fucked over. or
Mhm.
used.
Mhm.
I don't know. I guess
It's hard once you get like duped once. Like, dupe me once, shame on me. Dupe me twice. Or no, it's the other way around. Shame on me.
I've gotten
Won't happen again.
I haven't gotten like duped in terms of like, oh, this person came into this friendship and I thought they came in palms out being like a pretty genuine person.
Right.
And they wanted something from me. But I have nothing to really give except for like when I was DJing a lot more, I'm like drink tickets. You really want to become my friend to like get into clubs, which some people did, but I don't feel like they tried to ingratiate themselves in my life like that deeply. I definitely have been friends with people where I'm like, oh, you are so shady. Like you just find out like you're like, holy shit. Because that's the thing about friends is like really the only thing you need to have with a friend is you kind of have to have the same moral code. You don't have to like, I have so many girlfriends that love Taylor Swift. I do not like Taylor Swift. I think I don't hate her. I just am like, I think her music sucks, period. Okay. But I have so many friends.
La la la. Ooh la
Oh, no.
la.
Are you one
That's
of
a
them?
Taylor Swift song, right?
I don't know. I
don't
really truly don't know.
No,
Genuinely
I feel
don't.
like you could sing anything though, and it could just be, oh, that's Taylor Swift. Just like,
Oh yeah.
it's the most kind
Chocolate
of basic
milkshake, waterfalls. I just wrote a song for her.
He's out on my window. He's out there
Well,
right now.
That's very good, actually.
It's Taylor.
Yeah, it is Taylor. She's like, ooh, boy, don't lose my number.
I think she's a talented, multifaceted
It's very
artist.
beautiful.
And if she, you know,
Beautiful.
She's really beautiful. She's stunning.
Can you believe she was found on MySpace? She's found on MySpace. God, she's gorgeous. Those are all Taylor Swift fans. They all
Yeah, they're
sound
all
like
the
that.
variety.
Yeah.
That's like United Colors of Bennington, but like
Yeah.
you know, there's just
Yeah.
like some creepy guys like Jesus.
Yeah, it
We-
goes from like newborn babies, like, oh, I like this, to like just
Beautiful.
we walked into a Cracker Barrel, me, Angus, and Tyler
Wow.
in Arizona. And by the way, if you ever walk, it was 80%, and I'm not making any judgments here. This is just what the situation was. Taylor Swift was blasting on the speaker like a little bit too loud where it was distracting. And then just enough to where it's like you can't
screaming at each
It's-
other
yeah.
across from their
And-
table.
80% of the people eating there were disabled in some way.
Yes.
And that is, I had never just just sat down, super loud Taylor Swift, and then just every time I turn, like, okay, whoa.
You're just in a normal situation sometimes and you're like, am I on mushrooms? Do you ever just feel that way? Like in regular, like, I don't think I'm tripping, but like, why does everyone's face look a little off? And somebody's talking a little weird. This music's really loud. The temperature feels inhuman. And then you're like, did I microdose on accident?
Yeah.
Like,
And that's what the music did to me. I was like, I'm way too aware of this.
That's how I feel on Catalina Island. Have you ever been there?
Yes.
It is so trippy.
Dude, it's so trippy. Catalina Island is you know what
yeah,
it is?
yeah.
okay, for our listeners who might not know what it is that it's an island that's like really close to Orange County, Los Angeles that people vacation on. But the creepiest thing to me about Catalina Island is that there's people that live there.
Mm-hmm.
That's
We're like,
what's
I'm
weird.
never going to the mainland ever.
But they act like you're a fool. They're like, what do you mean? I have everyone that lives like remotely has the same voice. Doesn't matter if it's in California. What do you mean? I got everything I need here. All right. There was two karaoke places. Okay. 2. All right. And there is a crab cooker. So I'm good, actually. I'm fine. You're an idiot. It's
Yeah.
that place though is like, it's kind of sad because all vacation towns, like I think Cape Cod would probably be the same way. There's just like 23-year-old severe alcoholics that they go to work at like 4 in the morning. They just are the guys that like chip the barnacles off the boat or something like that. And they're like, yeah, we just give the kids these life jackets. And I get off work at 3 p.m. and then I start drinking. They have like the red face alcoholic.
Totally.
Yeah, that's like last time I was in Catalina Island was like there was just like a young guy who was like working at the dock who was just so sad. He was just like, well, it's actually 4 p.m. so I'm off. And then he literally was like, gotta get a drink. And I'm like, what?
Time to go to Luau
Who
Larry's.
are you? Why are you speaking to us so candidly?
Yeah.
It's also the last time I was there was like just a vague memory of a man in a sombrero, white man in a sombrero singing Sweet Caroline. which I believe that
That was me.
That's a good slow.
And that's how we met.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and said, "Who is this angel?"
When I went, there was a restaurant manager came over to my table and was like giving recommendations for a bar, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't go to Marlin's anymore because they play all the kind of funky Mexican music." Like, oh my God. To be like down on, first of all, to be racist, and also to be down on like one of the 4 bars that you can go to in your like 1 mile long town. Like, that sucks. Like,
Yeah,
they
so-
hate like every other like establishment there. I feel like there's just so much weird small town
territorialism.
yeah. I also talked to this one woman who said like, yeah, we got to round up there's a deer problem on Catalina. And
I did not
was
think you were
just
going to
like-
say deer.
What was it? What was coming to
Just
mind?
some ethnic group. It's like just one of those. Like, we gotta run up all the Filipinos. Like, whoa, they're even. I didn't even see one
There's like-
here.
there's like 8 of them.
Could have been code. But she was like, we got to do what we did to the goats, which is we round them all up and shot them one by one. I was like, whoa, this is a crazy place. Apparently there was a goat infestation. There's also bison on Catalina
Yes.
Island because they were filming a old Western movie in like the 30s, and the bison got out and started breeding. So you can do these like bison tours there, which is, I think, like maybe one of the cooler things you can do there.
I heard it wasn't that they started breeding. I heard that they just left them there because they're like, we're gonna ship them here for the movie, and then it's like after it, it's like, we're gonna bring them back. What do you mean? We don't got budget for that. So they
Oh,
just like
yeah.
left them there, and then they like had their own little community. That is so. You need to do a movie about Catalina Island. I'm just
I'd love
realizing
to.
that.
Yeah.
Here we go.
There was also, when I was there, they were showing the Santa Claus with Tim Allen at the movie theater. So I watched the Santa Claus on a big screen. Have you guys seen that movie?
No.
Yeah, I have.
It's a film that literally I have seen so many times throughout my life that I like can recite it, but I cried in the movie theater to this fucking Tim Allen Christmas movie, and I felt like that is why Catalina is so toxic. Like, I'm crying at Tim Allen's performance right now as a concerned father. Like, I'm out of my mind. So it's like one of those ways, it's like Vegas, like where it's like it seeps into you and you're like, I have to go.
I did DMT for the first time in Catalina Island.
Ooh.
'Cause I was really bored. Me and my boyfriend at the time were supposed to meet up with friends on the other side of the island. They had like a boat, yada yada. And I had a DMT rock this was years ago. I had a DMT rock, not one of the fancy pens, a rock that I got from a hitchhiker in Maui. Like me and my friend picked up a hitchhiker, and he's like, oh, I got this. And I was like, my friend she just was like, I'm not going to take it. What if it's like crack? I'm like, then I'll accidentally smoke crack. All right, win-win. So I took it and I held onto it for like probably a year. And then, sometimes when I just go to a random place on vacation, I'll just bring a bunch of drugs to be like, we'll see what I do, So go and I bring it. And then we were so bored. Like, we were just violently bored that we're like, I don't know, I guess we're going to go on a YouTube tutorial to like figure out how to make a crack bong so we can smoke this rock of what we hope is DMT. So we did. We like went to the hardware store there and like fashioned a 2-liter like bong and everything. Smoked DMT for the first time in a hotel room in Catalina Island.
Damn.
Yeah, it was cool. Saw
was it?
fractals. Great.
Oh,
I've done
nice.
DMT so many times at this point. Listeners of this podcast, no. I've done DMT, and the great thing is that it doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
And
No, one time we were talking on this pod and she was like, I can't do edibles. I was like, you just were telling me a story that you were doing DMT at a nightclub or something. I was like, those are two very, very, what is fucking way
I like
worse than the
rip a
other.
line of ketamine, but I'm like, an edible? I don't want to lose my mind.
I feel that way too. I think edibles are intense, like as really intense. But then mushrooms, like a large dose or a microdose even, like that is like Advil to me. Like a little microdose of mushrooms is like, okay, now I feel better.
Do you microdose a lot?
I do. I haven't actually in a little bit, but like if I'm more like at Sundance, it's really helpful like in socializing and just like keeping your feet on the ground a little bit in terms of not getting a big head about anything. No, just like being like, grounded and also like present. I really like microdosing. I got my family all hooked on it. No, just we have now done it as like a little like holiday.
You really?
Yeah, like not in a way where it's just like, well, time for mushrooms, but like in a way where it's just like, hey, Dad, hey, Mom, like here, a little chocolate piece or whatever. And there's no like they kind of like keep it under wraps because it's like new, but they love like
you
it.
do that too. With your dad.
Not with we do like weed. I haven't done.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
but he would be into it.
But yeah, he's asked me. But I was doing the microdosing thing for a few months, and then on the weekends we kind of just be like, to up it just to have fun. And then I was kind of getting to that space. You know, when you get really cocky with mushrooms or with any drug, and you're like, I'm the master of this. Nothing bad's gonna happen to me. And then the other day I took a fuckload, and I just remember just thinking like, oh, these things are about to show me that I am not the
I need to move back to Boston.
Yeah,
these things are going to show me that I'm a
so brutal
fool and a loser, and I need to leave.
I need to dye my hair. I need new clothes.
Yeah.
I remember like the worst trip that I ever had. It was like I didn't want to bum anyone out with the fact that I felt like I knew that I was going to die, you know? And so I was just like, I was so high. And it was like 4th of July with friends. Everyone's having a beautiful time. We're in Joshua Tree. And I'm just kind of like looking out. It's like that meme of like the people like dancing at a party. It's like nobody knows. I'm like, nobody knows I'm about to die in the next 2 hours. Like I literally was just like, well, my heart's going to definitely stop soon, but I don't want to bum anyone out. So I'm just not going to say anything. But I love these people. I will miss them and I hope they miss me. But I really felt that way. And once you're in that spiral, like you just feel so alone. It truly was me just looking at things and being like, that's cool. Well, man, well, too bad I'm going to die. And everyone just soak it in, Nina. Soak it in because you're never going to see this again. Oh. All right. Like truly just being I'm like already defeated with the fact that I'm dying. Like I'm already just like, all right, when is it going to happen? Truly convinced to the point where it's like, it wasn't even a paranoid delusion. It was just like a sad reality that I was living.
Totally.
Yeah, it was great.
I did ayahuasca once and it was so, it was actually disappointing. It was I've gotten way more out of mushroom trips than I did this ayahuasca trip. And I was doing it with a friend that, it was her second time. And we both sat like far away from the shaman, which the shaman blamed our like distance from him as to why they didn't work so well.
Was he a guy? Was he like a white guy?
He was a white guy.
That's your first mistake. That's why the medicine wasn't that strong.
I know, but it's like a friend of mine who had done it with this particular shaman, like in Peru, was like, this guy's in town. You should definitely go and do it with him. He's the guy. And he was a beautiful singer. He was like singing and like strumming guitar the whole time. And I took a lot and I was just constantly walking to the bathroom and shitting my brains out. I was just like, I'm literally just like having like indigestion.
But
right
you
now.
weren't high at all. You just were having diarrhea. And you're like, wow, what a great trip.
Exactly. It was that for like 4 hours of me just being like, well, like I was next to a woman like fully like talking to her grandmother and like convulsing and like experiencing like the biggest catharsis of her life. And I was just like, I'm going to go to the crapper again. But there was a moment where it like turned into, I was completely sober. And my friend was also like very much like sober. So we were like talking at certain times and he would be like, hey guys, can you shut up? The shaman.
What are you guys talking about? Like, where do you want to eat after this?
It was literally that. I was just like, we could get Starbucks in the morning. Like we were in Arrowhead. But there was a moment where it kind of switched to like weird, like, okay, now I'm hallucinating, but I still feel so sober and I'm not under the trance where the shaman was like saying stuff that felt like he was like reading my thoughts. And I had this like very much like a social media like image in my brain where all of like my phone, like any activity on my phone, suddenly I saw like tinfoil in my brain just like on fire. Like that's what it's doing to my brain every time I'm like on social media.
You weren't interacting with your phone. You just had this idea that was, my phone causes this.
Yeah, that was like the biggest like sort of whatever little like trip that I went on. And everything else was just kind of like momentary like sort of visual hallucinations, but that was just like seeing my brain on fire with tinfoil and like thinking about Instagram, which is such like a weird thing. Like, why am I thinking about Instagram while I'm like trying to have this remarkable experience? But also this one other moment where the shaman's face turned into a frog that was laughing at me. And in the morning, I told him, I was like, you turned into a frog and you were kind of like, seemed like you were teasing me. And he was like, that's the frog prince. Like, he comes and like kind of jeers at people if they're not like fully under. Yeah. And then he like showed me this painting of the frog prince that he had like in his like back pocket.
Did it look like the frog?
Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck?
Exactly.
I thought he was full of shit. I thought he was gonna be like, yeah, the frog prince. You gotta give him head. That's the rules of the frog prince when you see him. I know he's real. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, I guess it's like a little like ayahuasca character that comes out because ayahuasca is so cool. Like usually you all like I observed people all going into the forest, which is like the first level is like you're all in the forest with Mama Ayahuasca and you're like really just like feeling that like lovely oneness that you're like, okay, this is what I'm in for, like this good trip. And then it kind of takes you into your own personal thing where it can like go off in different directions. But it was like awesome to see all these people like fully like the shaman was like, you're in the forest too. Like you can talk to her. Like, and they're all just like interacting in this completely different dimension. And me and my friend are just like talking about fucking what we're going to get at Starbucks. Like, it was just like so crazy. So I don't know. Like, I feel like drugs are strange. Like, it's weird that mushrooms can hit so hard for me. And then that they do say with ayahuasca, like do more than one session. I did a one-off. But it's something that can kind of build in your system.
I want to do it.
It's usually like a 3-day.
Yeah, it's usually a 3-day thing or longer. Yeah, I would give it a chance again. It was just like such violent vomiting and shitting that it's like maybe my body. And also you do like this diet leading up to it where no salt, no like coffee.
For how long?
It was I was like really it's for like 7 days. Ugh. I think 10 days is what they want you to do. And then I did it for 7. And I was like really like I had lost like a shit ton of weight in like a way that like my friend was like, you look like unwell. And I was like, I'm so ready. I'm so ready to do this. And we were just like gray and like our ribs sticking out. Like it was just like there was just something off about all of it. And I think I had hyper focused on it so much that like the trip was me having to come to terms with not being in control of it. And he was like, that's really like a lot of people's first time. It's just like releasing control.
Well, I think maybe that's why, because I've heard different things of like, that's maybe why you got sick is like, you should do it again. Because it was probably just like ridding yourself. Like they're like, well, we're just like trying to get into like a deeper, like pushing through more and more. And like, that was your first thing where it's like, hey, sorry, nothing's really going to happen because we're just trying to like get to the center of you. And it's like we have like, it's like, do you feel like you're held very tight?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm held very tight. Mm-hmm. That like, I used to not think, I'm like, what do you mean? I'm a comedian. I'm an artist. I'm like such a free flowing, open, like spirit and everything. And I cling very tightly to myself.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that I would have a really difficult time I want to do ayahuasca because of that, because I know that the framework of myself is extremely rigid, actually. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm like, I'm an artist and I DJ and music and blah, blah, blah. But that's almost like a false flag for me being like, I think I'm actually I can be type A quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I'm very like organized. Mm-hmm. And I think I have a lot of walls up. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes people are really, I was even surprised by that. That's how fucking good the trick worked. I'm just like, wow, I'm so closed up that I don't even know that I am, which is like, so I think I would, if I did ayahuasca, I think I would have the same experience where I'd probably just like shit my brains out and like barf, because it's like, it's really trying to like break you down. So you can have this really cathartic moment. And maybe the woman that you saw who was like talking to her, dead ancestors, that person might be a little bit more porous you know, to that kind of spirit realm, you know, because I think some people, I do believe in like some people are just like a little bit more connected than others, like to that world. Like there's people that are like psychic and shit like that. And like, you know, I don't have any of that. I don't have dreams that are like visions of things, nothing like at all. I have most of my dreams are the end of the world, but they're like in a fun movie, like a really well made film. I don't know.
That's dope. Do you ever dream and are like, wow, I can't believe like my brain came up with that?
Honestly, my brain does sick shit. My it's like Gattaca stuff where I'm like, this is a screenplay, bro. Like really like dynamic characters. I'm usually not, when that happens, I'm usually observing it. Like I do feel like Ed Harris's character in Truman Show, where I'm just kind of watching things unfold and I'm aware that I'm not a part of it. And I'm even aware that it's fake, but yeah, no, my dreams have good production value. So
I smoke weed every night. I have no idea what I dream about.
it's probably just like violent things and you just don't remember it.
Yeah.
Wake up. Yep, that's right. Well, we probably should wrap, Bridey, but do you have anything to plug besides your movie? Can you please tell us the title
Mere
again?
Party.
Is it going to be online anywhere?
Yeah, it will be online, and follow my Instagram and you'll find out.
Where can they find you?
Bridey _ Elliott, 2 L's 2 T's.
There we go.
Keep it simple, just my name.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Thanks for opening up and telling us about everything.
Hell yeah.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah,
Thanks
nice to meet
for
you.
listening.
Nice meeting
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye.